Hello everyone, Cherries Red Army, and what a massive week this is for Bournemouth. Not just in the transfer window as the clock ticks down. Bournemouth go up north to play bottom of the league Barnsley in the Championship, and surely only 3 points is acceptable before a mini break for the FA Cup. Now, we won't have an opposition view on this match preview, but we've got one better. We've got two guests, including Dorset Live Jacob Tanswell. So looking forward to hearing his thoughts. Now, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. If there was a positive out of the weekend just gone, it was that we had 7 new subscribers and 1,000 views on our matchday vlog. So thank you very much to everyone on that. Also, at some point in this video, if you enjoy what you hear, hit the like button, because that really does help and helps with the channel growth. And also at the end, we want to get your score predictions and your thoughts in the comments. So shall we do it? Barnsley Bournemouth match preview.
Down early.
Phil Billing gets stabbed on. Here's Jordan Zamora flying forward. Is there a second for Jordan Zamora? There is a second for Jordan Zamora. He puts the game to bed for
Bournemouth. It's always a privilege to have this guy on Cherries Red Army from Dorset Live. He actually dropped me a DM.
You're going to welcome me then?
Nearly, but this guy dropped me a DM at the weekend and he said, I love your match day vlog. And welcome Jacob Tanswell to another video on Cherries Red Army. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you very much. Yeah, Saturday night, I was just writing and I thought I'm going to have a little bit of a break and I saw your vlog come up and I just had a look at it and completely echoed everything I thought as well. So thanks for that.
Brilliant. Now, Steve, you've been overdue a match preview. That's for definite. And we had a bit of a friendly, heated debate after the game outside the Vitality Stadium. It's all friendly. That's what football's all about, isn't it? We kissed and made up, but that's football and we move on to the next game. But great to have you on this evening.
Yeah, thanks, mate. It was a difference of opinion, but very relevant. You know, both arguments relevant, and yeah, like you say, it's heated in the after the game, raw, and I was spitting feathers, to be fair, but I've calmed down a bit now. I think I've almost got over it.
Well, as always on match previews, we are going to go back over that whole result before we move on to Barnsley. And remember, as a lot of our match previews, we are recording this ahead of the press conferences, so we might not get everything right, but maybe Jacob can help us out on this one. But Jacob, let's go back to Hull City. And my thoughts were that, do you know what? We did miss some very good chances, about 3. I thought the formation was actually spot on. Maybe the only problem with that formation is we didn't have a balanced width on the left-hand side. But what I was confused about was it felt like Preston 5 minutes after that second half had started. And when we went 1-0 down, I'm still struggling to understand why we weren't knocking the door down and applying pressure on that whole goal. I mean, what was your thoughts on the formation and the 99 minutes?
Yeah, the 4-3-3, I think that's obviously, we know by now that's Parker's go-to formation. And you saw the positives of it in the first half, didn't you? I thought the fullbacks are excellent. Leif Davis had his best game, I think. Jack Stacey was good. The two midfielders, Marcondes and Billing, just kept running into the box. And yeah, Hull were lucky to go in, 0-0, weren't they? And if we touch on the second half, I think after the first 5 minutes, I did see Scott Parker, after about 3 or 4 minutes, he shouted at Lloyd Kelly and just gave him the sternest look. And from then on in, it was just, the confidence was just draining by every minute, wasn't it? And by the time the goal went in and they still had 20 odd minutes left, I just think Bournemouth completely lost their heads. And I think they need confidence to play the way Parker wants. And that confidence wasn't there. And everything just broke down after that.
Steve, you said earlier on in the season, in that unbeaten 15, where outsiders would have looked at Bournemouth and gone, what a ridiculous team they are. I can know, and I have spoken to you, and you said to me, we've been lucky in that unbeaten 15. We've had a lot of luck. We've scored goals when we probably not deserved it. And we're not getting the luck. We hit the post, we miss chances, and maybe you were right in that first unbeaten 15.
Yeah, maybe there's a case for that, but I mean, my point really was that we all got swept up, myself included, in that wonderful run we went on, and even to the case of I was sitting there going, we're never going to lose. We just don't lose. And then you take stock of it and sort of take a step back and actually look at those games. And like I said, like you said, and I said many a times, actually, we were very fortunate in a few games to not be 1-2 goals down before we'd even got going. I mean, how many times we said, first 20 minutes of a game, we're not really at it. I mean, Hull on the weekend was a different kettle of fish, actually. I thought, like Jacob said, we were quite at it for the most of the first half, and unlucky not to have gone in 1 or 2 up. I mean, hit the post, Dom's header, to name a couple of chances. So yeah, when I took stock of it, it kind of was a little bit of a, we're in a position that's slightly flatter to deceive, I think, and I don't know if that's coming to our true position is now, sort of form is now coming to fruition a bit.
Jacob, fans that I've spoken to since that whole result, they said the biggest frustration for them is when it's not working after 15 minutes after the second half, for whatever reason. When changes are made, it's just like for like. There's no 2 up top, Low and Solanke, give him some support. Anthony came on, but it was natural like for like at the time. I mean, I said before the start of the game, play Rodgers. He's just scored at Luton. We need to know if he can do it. He's not had a start at home against a team potentially where he'll have spaces to work with from minute one. If you're not going to play him in these type of fixtures, when you're going to play him? And that's my point. I'm not saying that Rodgers is a world beater, but we need to give him the chance to prove that he's got something about him.
I completely understand, and I probably agree with that Morgan Rodgers point. Regarding the formation, I'm not going to lie. I've always said when Bournemouth do change formation this year, they tend to lose their way. I think there's a few times where they've gone to a 3 at the back and things haven't really gone their way. So I don't really mind them not changing formation. It's the way they play. They continue to build up from the back. If they're 1-0 up or 1-0 down, they still try to pass that. Gary Cahill still passes it toward Kelly. I don't see any mix to the game. I don't see Gary Cahill or even Lerma thinking, right, we're going to whip a ball into the channels. We're going to get Solanke to run. We're going to all press, all go together, be nice and aggressive. It's all the same. It's all the same build up at the moment, going through the same channels, going through the same passes of play. And regardless of what formation you play, those habits are still going to be there. So I don't think it's that. I just think it's more of an approach thing, really.
Steve, we move on then to Barnsley. Now, this is a team rock bottom. They've got a few games in hand, but they've only won 2 matches this season, both at home, bearing in mind. But I really don't know anymore. I would have gone into this game at any other part in the season thinking, yep, comfortable with this, 3 points. But I'm confused now. We're making the trip up there. And where are you at with this game when you look at Barnsley, who have only scored like 13 goals?
Yeah, I mean, you've hit the nail on the head there, really. I was thinking this today. I was thinking, usually we're sort of, this will be a 2-3. Look at last season, what was that 4? We put past them at their place. And now I'm thinking, we've said this about Hull twice. We've said it about Peterborough. I'm not suggesting, that these teams are all alike, in their circumstance, but you've got to be looking at bottom of the league and thinking, that's got to be a 3 points. I mean, I don't want to even contemplate not getting 3 points up there. I mean, I was listening to the Barnsley, is it the Red All Over podcast, and today actually, and they were sort of going over the last game, and it just seems like they're in a complete disarray at the moment. So I mean, if we have a problem turning them over, then surely we've got similar problems, because by all accounts they would rather have a team of academy guys out there at the moment because they're so bad.
Jacob, this is Barnsley that have in form of something like drawn, lost. They've got a midweek game coming up, winless in 9. And are they going to look at Hull City and teams that we played in those areas of the league and think, actually, for some weird reason, we've only got Corley Woodrow on 4 goals, but we might have a chance?
I think they'll do what every other team, the teams you mentioned will do. I think it's pretty simple to work out their game plan. They're going to break up the rhythm. They're going to go down. They're going to stop Bournemouth however they can. And in possession, they're going to be very rudimentary. They're going to play long, win set pieces, try and turn Lloyd Kelly, and if Gary Cahill plays, use him 1v1, and then get the crowd up as well as early as possible. So it's going to be quite straightforward, and it's up to Bournemouth now really to go there and realise this is a must-win now. They've had that cushion, and there's no excuses now. They have to win this game.
I looked at the previous game that we just spoke about and Barnsley. I looked at it as an opportunity for us to go a little bit gung-ho, Jacob, and actually, do you know what? Take the reins off the players, especially those forward-thinking players. I think that everything to me when I watch it, Jacob, looks very much rehearsed Monday to Friday. I don't see a lot of natural talent happening in front of that defence that we're up against. I don't see Christie living in the moment. I don't see the likes of Billing at the moment living in the moment. And Solanke's dropped off because he's not getting the support. Are you seeing that as well? And do you think if we actually allowed those players to have a little bit more freedom, we would blossom?
I think so. I asked Parker before the whole game, does he think Jaden Ante in particular is getting into enough 1v1 areas? And he actually said he did. He thought between the defensive third and midfield third, he thought they were progressing the ball nicely. Jaden Ante was getting into good areas. It's just their final ball he was saying was the issue. But in my opinion, it does look a little bit rehearsed, yeah, of course. But it's also down to confidence. I think if you had the full fire in Ryan Christie or Jaden Anthony, they'd be probably taking these risks. But at the moment, they play a little bit within themselves, maybe taking the safer option. And that's why you see probably it, or having the feeling that it's a little bit rehearsed.
Going to go into the predicted 11 very soon, and we're just going to see what's come up before the press conference. We know we've got maybe an issue with Jeff Lerma. And Steve, Chris Mepham, I think he deserved his start in the last game. He unfortunately got an injury. Gary Cahill has come on. He was strolling that unbeaten 15, and I feared that Gary Cahill, that the championship would catch up with him. I'm looking at it thinking the championship's catching up with him. How are you viewing Gary Cahill as someone who's played centre-back?
Well, I think I think his only draw drawback is his lack of pace. I mean, that's been exploited 2 or 3 times. And there was another scenario on the weekend where the guy was yards behind him and just caught him up in no time. And he really had to sort of use his body to try and protect the ball because he could see the guy coming around him. I still think he's got a part to play, and I still think he's worthy of that position. It's unfortunate what happened to Meps because do we know how long that's going to be, if that's a serious one? Not heard anything. I suppose we won't do because we haven't heard the presser. But yeah, I mean, but you've got another lad there that we've just brought in who, by all accounts, is highly rated. So I mean, I suppose if because I don't think Gary Cahill's been right since that little rib sort of injury he got. He hasn't looked the same. Was it Millwall? Yeah. So maybe there's we might be down to sort of without Cahill as well. Maybe James Hill is worthy of a slot in there and a try. But no, I just think it's only really his pace that bothers me. I think the rest of it, he makes up for that in the reading of the game because it's top draw really.
Well, Jacob, we're going to take advantage of you while you're on here. And there was some news over the weekend that unfortunately Jeff Lerma tested positive for COVID. And we hope he's okay. But yeah, tell us how that sort of came about. And should we fear that we might have a few more problems as we're speaking right now on a Monday?
At the moment, I don't think or haven't heard of any more problems. But of course, with COVID, you're not sure, and daily testing or regular testing, there's a likelihood that more cases will come up. But Lerma, I think he tested on Sunday, got positive back, which means he can't go to Colombia on international duty, and he's now serving his 5 days in isolation, providing he comes back with a negative test after that. So Barnsley, he could be back, couldn't he? But judging by the way they've handled Jordan Zamora and others, Scott Parker tends to take the safety first. So you'd like to think he probably wouldn't be available for the trip to OAKWELL.
And in this predicted 11 we're going to just react and think that he's not going to be available. And we're going to pick a starting lineup that in the last few months has become more difficult week on week in all these match previews. But collectively, guys, we're going to try and do it. This is the predicted 11 for Barnsley. So we're showing it on the screen at the moment, and we'll tell you those players. So Mark Travers in goal. We think that Laird's not going to make it yet. I think he's been here nearly a month, but still not up to speed. Jack Stacey right back, Cahill, Kelly, and hoping Samora. Ben Pearson potentially to pick up that holding role. Kilkenny to come back in the side. Phil Billing, Jaden Anthony, Ryan Christie, and Dom Solanke. Coming to you first, then Jacob. There's been a big shout out from fans to play Kilkenny. Weirdly, he hasn't really played since his man of the match performance against Middlesbrough. But give us your thoughts on that predicted 11 and anything else that you would do, because that was a collective decision that we've come to.
You know, I'm a big fan of Gavin Kilkenny, so he'd be in my team most weeks, to be honest with you. I don't think he's really done much wrong this year. What I like about him is that he keeps the tempo up. You see us with his passing, he really fizzes it in, and I think that's something Bournemouth have been missing recently. My first thought is probably Marcondes. Judging from the outside, you think maybe a little bit harsh. He scored 4 goals in 3 games. But I do think this is a game that probably suits Ben Pearson very well. And I think with Gavin Kilkenny alongside him, who would probably sit a little bit deeper than Philip Billing, they can just get control of that midfield early on, and then they can just provide to the front four.
Interestingly, what we did really speak about, Steve, and this is with Simon Kay as well outside this stadium after that whole result, is those partnerships. And I know that certain fans like to see Lerma higher up. And I had a look at some of our results. Do you know what? We've played pretty much each partnership. We played Lerma, Pearson, lost to Preston. We played Lerma, Lewis Cook, lost. We played Kilkenny, Lewis Cook. We played all the partnerships. And at some point, we've dropped significant points. But I do think that Kilkenny does have a place in this team. I just want to be more offensive, as you know, Steve. The big question coming in there from Jacob is Marcondes, because Philip Billing's not right. He's not been right for a while. We know he struggled with his knee, but we know he's a big asset to this team. Would you potentially take Billing out for Marcondes if he's not right?
If he's not right and it's a like-for-like swap, then yes. I didn't like the partnership on the weekend, personally. I think they're when things are going right for you, and you're on the ascendancy, it's great. But when you've got, you know, gaps to fill and holes to plug when you're defending a little bit, they're not the two you can rely on, I don't think. Yeah, I mean, if he come in for Billing as a straight swap, I'd be happy with that in that midfield. Absolutely. I'd like to see one of those midfield players just sort of get hold of the ball and sort of, you know, drive on a bit, drive forward a bit, sort of try and draw players out and create some space. That's what I think we didn't do very well in the second half against Hull. I mean, did it okay in the first half, but yeah, I mean, it's difficult because I don't think we really have that natural player in the middle of the park that does that. You know, Pearson's a destroyer. Billing sort of likes his link-up play, and Kilkenny, you know, sprays passes around here, there, and everywhere. So, yeah, hopefully in the transfer window, you never know, coming up, that we might get someone. I saw Tom Lawrence scored a lovely, lovely goal the other day, driving, beating about 3 players and slotting one. So maybe that's one we can look forward to.
Well, I was going to say, maybe we'll just come to that in a moment, as we've got Jacob with us at the end of this match preview. But we're going to lock this predicted 11 in for Barnsley. Do you agree, disagree? As always, let us know in the comments. Now, last season, guys, it was a 4-0 win on a Friday night, if I can remember, under the lights at Barnsley. Diego Rico scoring a worldie free kick. Jacob, how do you see this going? Are you going to the game to start with? Are you covering it? And what's your score prediction for Bournemouth Barnsley?
Yes, I am going to the game. I do think if Bournemouth get that early goal, I think it's going to settle everything down. In the last 2 games, they've just been chasing it, and then they've become desperate. If they get a nice early goal, if, for example, if Marcondes, if he doesn't hit the post and that goes in, who knows? It would have been different. But I always say before every game, I always say it to colleagues that I think Bournemouth are going to win 3-0. I've said it over the last month, and it's not really come to fruition. But
that was the score against Barnsley last time, wasn't it?
Yeah,
exactly. So I am going to go 3-0.
And I've been saying it for weeks now, so I'm going to stop saying it because it's clearly not working. I've got to stick with Bournemouth. I've got to think that we're going to win, and we have to win. There is no ifs or buts. I'm going to go for 2-1. Steve, I'm hoping to see you in Barnsley before the game. How are you feeling? What's your score prediction?
I don't really care, to be honest, as long as it's a win. because that's what we need to. We just need to get a win. I don't care if it's a scrappy 1-0. To be fair, but if I'm going to have a stab in the dark, I'd probably go for a 2-0.
2-0. So 2-0 from Steve, 2-1 from me, 3-0 from Jacob, and we want your score predictions in the comments. Right, Jacob, the transfer window is closing in. If you'd have told me at the start of January we needed 5 players in this squad, I would have laughed. We've got 2 in, and you know what? We do need 3. I think we need a Cam, potentially a Rothwell, to add to potentially Marcondes and Billing, because I think in a lot of football matches we can play 2 offensive players ahead of the likes of Lerma. I think we probably maxed out potentially Jaden Anthony. Fantastic season, but I don't want to think that he's going to give us another 6 assists between now and the end of the season. So maybe a winger, and Dom needs support. And if Dom gets injured, I'm panicking. So give us an update on the transfer window. And I know that you've covered those positions in your Dorset Live articles.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be, as you say, I think it's going to be quite a busy next couple of days, week. They do want an advanced midfielder, a winger, and a striker. And what I'm noticing from the theme is that they're targeted players who are between 20, 25, and all their contracts expiring at the end of the season. Dembele, like we said today, Bournemouth put 2 offers in for him, rejected, because Peterborough don't want to sell, even though his contract expires at the end of the season, because they see more value in keeping him and him being crucial to their retaining their championship status. Strikers, we've seen the links of Andy Carroll. I've not heard anything about that, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do go for someone in that profile. I know Parker went on a little bit of a dialogue when I asked him about a plan B a few weeks back, but that could be a little thing. And maybe James Hill, he's got a long throw as well, so that could be a plan B. And advanced midfielder, I think that's the position, really. I think an advanced midfielder that could possibly play left wing. Tom Lawrence would suit perfectly. Joe Rothwell, he's there. His family, from what I got told a few weeks back, they're keen to come down south. The question is, will Blackburn sell or let him go to a promotion rival? I think probably not. They'll rather just let him go at the end of the season. So it's difficult, but they're trying to juggle it all. And with Andy Howe leaving yesterday, it just adds more, doesn't it?
Absolutely, Steve. That Andy Carroll rumour is definitely a mixed review from what I've seen. And someone actually said, I'll only take him on a pay-as-you-play. I thought, that's a cheap deal, Steve. That's a really cheap deal. I know you sound like you want Lawrence, but yeah, where are you at with transfers?
Well, Andy Carroll, I mean, how old is he now? He's well into his 30s now, isn't he? So, I mean, I know his previous stint with Newcastle in the Champ was a very productive one. That's where he sort of set made his name in a way. And equally, I see the 2 goals he had chalked off the other day that were offside. Both of them were absolutely exceptional finishes. So he's still got a bit in his locker, but how fit's he going to be is the question. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword. It's a bit of a Kenwyne Jones one, that one, isn't it? He might come up with a really crucial goal at some point, but I wouldn't see him playing a lot. And how much is his wage going to be is the other question. In my view, I mean, I love the look of Tom Lawrence. I think he really, really suit us. So I'd really be happy if that one came over the line. Although he's a bit older, isn't he? That one doesn't fit the profile as well. But I think it's got to be slim pickings, isn't it? Players that are running down their contracts are not all going to be really young. So, I mean, I don't know if there's any rumours in John Swift as well, because he's another player I like. Whether there's any news on that one, because obviously Reading's position as well. And I do like the Dembele one, because I've watched a bit of him at Peterborough, and he's got some pace about him. That guy, he's very, very quick. So yeah, I like that for sort of balls in behind. So yeah, I mean, any of those. Maybe not Andy Carroll, but I'll take any of the others.
We're going to find out very, very soon, and we're going to keep an eye on Jacob Tanswell, because he's going to update us the minute something happens.
First, yeah.
Big game this weekend then, Jacob. Thanks for coming on this match preview. Have a safe trip up to Barnsley, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much. My pleasure, Kirk.
Steve, hope to see you there. Hopefully we're smiling this time and we can just have a big hug after 3 points. We'll take that one.
Yeah, we'll have no Barneys this week.
Thank you then to you, the viewers, for checking out this video. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and a big shout out to our channel supporter members. You can become a channel supporter member. Just simply go to buymeacoffee.com/Cherries Red Army. Any donations, whether it's a monthly supporter or a one-off, goes into the channel, really helps. It's in the description below. But from me, Jacob and Steve, on this match preview, enjoy the game. We'll see you soon. Up the Cherries.
Not the Cherries.